Hey, what's up everybody? Ralph here. So today's topic I want to talk to you guys about how layoffs are happening and how it could get worse. All right, now if you look at society right now, you see that companies are laying people off, they're doing hiring freezes. Some companies are even offering jobs and then rescinding it. All right, and then you look at, if you look at the stock market, you see that crashing right now, and you see, and this is bringing up a lot of fears that people think the recession is coming. Some people would even argue that the recession is already here. But regardless if it's here or if it's coming, a lot of people are hurting financially, right? They're paying more at the gas pump. They're paying more in the grocery store. A lot of people are struggling to just make regular payments on bills. So regardless of it's here or not, people understand right now they're struggling. They don't really care. They're like, my money's not going as far as it used to. I'm not able to, my dollar is not able to pay today what it used to be paid yesterday. So for me, I wanted to answer the question about layoffs and go on that topic and answer why it's happening. Now, for you to understand, you need to understand it when you're hearing a lot about the feds are increasing the federal funds interest rate. Now, that's the interest rate that banks lend to each other. And I'm not going to go into detail of that because it can be it can be confusing for a lot of people. Just understand that when feds are raising the interest rate, that does affect how the economy works. And the reason why they do that is to curb inflation. So the way you got to really understand is like, back in 2020, when you had the pandemic and the economy was slow, it was a little stagnant. What the feds like to do is they like to figure out how a way to stimulate the economy. So a good way to do that is to drop the interest rates down. And when you drop the interest rates down, it makes acquiring money cheaper. So that's why you saw a lot of people doing refinances, people were getting mortgages, people were getting money, basically getting cheap money. So that stimulates the economy because that creates active growth in the economy. It makes people want to spend more money. It makes borrowing money cheaper. So people are like, oh, let me go get this refinance, or let me go get this loan. And that's good for the economy. The problem is when you have that much activity, it can cause inflation. It causes the economy to get too hot. And we don't want the economy too hot because obviously when the economy gets too hot, you see inflation increasing the way it has. And because money was so cheap and there was so much activity, you see real estate prices going up. You see everything increase. You see like products that you buy at the grocery store to go up. So when this happens, the feds then say, okay, we can't let inflation get too high. And the way the feds work, they want to make sure inflation stays around 2%. So when it gets above that and it gets up to 8.6% as it is today, the Fed's got to say, okay, you know what, we have to slow this down. The problem with that is that the way they slow it down is obviously with interest rate, but the problem is that if you do it if you increase the interest rates too fast, that can cause a recession. So I think the Feds are trying to figure out a way to increase interest rates without causing a recession. So it's a delicate balance that they have to take. So that's what you see right now. When back in 2020, when they raised the interest rates and everybody was borrowing money and the economy was too hot, it increased inflation, and then the feds are saying, all right, we got to slow this down, and that's what you're seeing right now. So now when you see the feds saying we have to increase the interest rates about basis points, they're trying to figure a way of balance. They're trying to find a balance. And what's going on is as they increase the interest rates, the economy starts to slow down and makes borrowing money more expensive, right? So how this affects you, like let's say you want to get a mortgage, you see the interest rates on a mortgage increasing. If you want to get a car loan, you see the interest rate on car loans increasing. If you want to get a student loan, you see the interest rates on student loans increasing. Also credit cards. Now, these credit cards, credit cards can vary anywhere from like 15, 24%, but depending on your credit. But you see even the interest rates on credit cards going up, right? So it's making money more expensive. So this causes people not to borrow money, right? And this is to slow down the economy. This will decrease demand and hopefully increase supply where you can get stabilized inflation. So this is what you're seeing. That's what's going on right now is the fact that feds are trying to find a balance of how much to increase the interest rate so it doesn't slow down the economy too much. But they have to do it. Well, according to them, they have to do it in order to curb inflation. So the goal is to, increase in interest rates so then hopefully slow down the economy to a place where we can get the inflation back down to 2%. But that's something they're going to have to figure out. But in the meantime, how this is causing layoffs is when money is too expensive to borrow, this affects companies, right? Because remember, companies are about profits, right? They got to make their profits. Okay, and when money is more expensive, and they see the economy slowing down, less people are making purchases, less people are consuming their products and services, they're not making as much money. And when this happens, remember, if a company is about profit, they need to make sure they hit that profit, but it's hard to do that if they're not getting the revenue. So the first thing a company is going to do is cut expenses, and one of the largest expenses for a company is labor, right? So that's what you see happening right now. It's people, when people are, the companies are saying, all right, if we're going to hit a recession, I need to make sure that we hit a certain margin. So the first thing you tend to see going is people cut down labor. And that's what happens when Feds increase that interest rate. So, and that's the delicate balance that the Feds are struggling with. As you increase interest rates, you make money more expensive to borrow. Companies say, all right, you know what? We're gonna have to figure this out. We have to cut down expenses. So you see a lot of companies laying people off because they're not making their profits. And that usually tends to happen. And that's why a lot of people think that we're already in a recession. All right. So what you need to do, how do you prepare for this, right? The first thing you want to do to prepare for this is make sure you have a stable job, right? If you don't have a stable job, make sure you secure a stable job, right? I know a lot of people have the great resignation. People are like, you know what? If a job doesn't offer me remote work, I'm not going to take it. This is not the time to be picky, because there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off, and there's not going to be a lot of opportunity to be so picky with the jobs that you want. So if you have a secure job, make sure you can hold that job down. And if you don't, make sure you can find one. And if you're at a job now and you're like, you know what, I'm trying to look for another job that's probably more remote, this may not be the best time to do it, because you're going to see a lot of people losing jobs. And more is going to come as the Feds continue to increase that interest rate. You're going to see more people being laid off, because monies won't be more expensive to borrow, and companies are not going to be, hitting the revenue marks that they usually make. And so the first thing I'll do is going to cut down labor. All right, so you need to make sure that you're prepared. Make sure you reduce your debt. If you got credit cards, pay those things off, because you're going to see a lot of people. You're going to see the economy, going through a transition in terms of people being laid off, things being more expensive. It's gonna if we're already in a recession or ones that come, you're going to see a lot of things happen. You want to make sure you secure yourself financially. All right, so I hope that you guys had an understanding of what. Just break it down in terms of how layoffs happen. If you got any comments or questions down below, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe, right? So you guys take care and have a good one. Later.